Welcome back, everyone. Woo! This is episode 5.
Yeah.
Episode 5, and because it's episode 5 and it's somewhat of a monumental number, half of 10.
Yes, that's right.
Trosk has decided to bring on a guest.
Yes.
And this guest I'm super excited about because I've recently heard about this guy. He is a pretty well-known New Zealand entrepreneur. He's got some real exciting projects on. And actually, the thing that is sort of the most interesting about this guy to me is that just the way that he deals with people, you just want to like this guy, right? There's just something about him. I can't really explain it. And Trosk said the same thing, right?
Yeah, we met a while back through Israel Adesanya, and we just started talking. Next thing I know, this guy and I are doing FaceTimes, chatting, and this is his business here. One of his businesses, one of. And he sent me out some product, and we got talking, bro. Just having a couple of FaceTimes with this guy. We're just like, we need to get this dude on the show. Yeah. And you guys will obviously see why. Very soon. So we're pretty much diving straight into this interview, and then we'll be talking a little bit about it afterwards. But the whole point of this is to, we want to have conversations with different people. People with different perspectives, even friends of ours. We want to bring people on, as many people as we can, to just discuss this, because that's the whole point here. It's about the space invaders. It's about the disruptors. It's about the people who aren't in the status
That's right.
quo.
And we want to get people on who we can learn something from. And
exactly.
So this guy is one of those people that just has something that is, likable and special about him. So without any further ado, here is our interview with Mr. Rawiri Nelson.
That's right. Let's go. All right. I've got my good friend here, Ra, on the show, Rawiri Nelson. We're gonna get into talking about some lovely topics.
Oh yes.
And firstly, let's talk a little bit about who you are here. We've got your product Hom, which if I'm right, it's House of Movement.
That's it, brother.
That's
Hom
the one.
The movement, yeah.
And you just said we just got started, but he's just informed me that they launched their festival literally 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. So that's going berserk at the moment, brother. But yeah, thank you for having me, boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Our first guest on the Space Invader show.
Crazy.
This is episode 5.
Yeah.
Awesome to have you on, man.
Yeah, all good, my brother. Pleased to be on here. What's
so,
going on?
Man, I'm excited, bro. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're just getting ready to meet you, bro. Excited to talk to you.
Yeah. Amazing. Let it roll, bro. Like, what's
the first thing I wanted to discuss is just basically just give us a little bit about yourself and the project you're working on. Obviously, you've got Hom and this festival. So why don't we just dive straight into that?
Starting from the start, man, like I got into what I do just because I was trying to monetize my love for talking to people, right? So I don't call myself an entrepreneur. I call myself more of an opportunist, because my intentions are never behind the money. It's more about how to create opportunity from nothing. And I learned this back in my heyday when I was working in construction, right? So when I was working in construction, I've spoken about this in the past, but it's just like I was in the construction role that I was in, not because of my work ethic or my ability to do things or, my certificate. It was more because the boss liked me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
By being able to do that and leverage that, I realized I didn't have to be in construction. I could do that anywhere. So I could be in entertainment. I can be in like a personal trainer, or I can utilize the idea of meeting people to kind of create more opportunity, right? So we'll dive into that later, bros. I've been talking about it a lot because I'm big on like creating opportunity from nothing. And like a lot of people can probably relate when it comes to, you don't need money to start things. You just need to kind of meet someone that has the resources, but also what they're part of is relative to them. And if they involve you, you're now exposed to it, right? And moving forward, I went from doing construction to being a personal trainer. Being a personal trainer, I learned how to leverage that as a currency, to be able to leverage that to access people that had resources and trade resources. So my personal training side of things, I worked in a form of a currency where someone that owned a restaurant, instead of paying me, I have I had more of a bar tab. So
Yeah.
I'll utilize
I
that bar
see.
tab to create events and then invite people in and sell it to banks or other businesses for work parties. So it was the idea of utilizing someone else's resources to create opportunity, but also I didn't know what it was at the time, but I just knew how to do it. And because of my love of travel and also what I've been involved with in the past, I was trying to figure out a way, how do I actually utilize everything without trying to sell anything out, or utilize my relationships to not only create something, but not get my best friends to try and sell products for me to make money, right?
Yeah.
But the opportunity there is to kind of create an opening to build communities, and then you can kind of do whatever with the community, kind of like what you guys are doing. So when you have a community, you're able to like create events, you can sell products, you can market, you essentially do more than what billboards do. And I actually rang up a billboard company 3 years ago and I asked them how much they charged to promote on a billboard, and they said 40 grand a month. So that's how I was able to quantify what I was worth. So I was like, I do more than fucking billboards, you know what I mean? So
Wow. True.
That's relevant to what I do now. I started many things, man. I because I don't come from money. I come from like pure hustle and selling corn to Chinese in my small town in Rotorua and Whakarewarewa, which is like a attraction for tourists. I learned how to leverage currencies by bartering, but also bartering resources. Now, moving forward, as I said, I don't have a background in business. I just knew how to do what I do. So I started things. I ended up turning that PT business into a marketing agency, or like getting into that. So generating enough leads to sell the leads to a marketing agency. So then I was utilizing that marketing agency to kind of create ideas and get work done based on the currency I was providing them. So I ended up building restaurants and bars, like a.
So you've been in the hospitality and event industry for a while before going on to this festival that you are now launching.
Not really, bro. Like what I've been able to really kind of an expert at, bro, is just finding people that are actually really passionate about what they do and believe they're the best in the world at it. I can find them, and I can find someone else who believes the same thing, bring them together, and make them work together.
Right.
So I have no history in festivals, but I know everybody who does.
Yeah.
So I'm the guy that kind of brings everybody together to make them work together to create something that's kind of a bit bigger than what is normal. So I like to challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
So now to do that, it's kind of hard to just like, I got my feelings hurt about 4 years ago, man, when I walked around Brisbane and I was asking to be involved in events and stuff, man. And they said I wouldn't suit it. You know what I mean? And I was just like, oh, that sucks. But it created like this massive boulder on my shoulder, not a chip, more of a tree on my shoulder that I was gonna kind of dominate. No, that's what I wanted to do. So I had that in my head, and you got to utilize ideas or things as vehicles to be able to offer, rather than just, I understand, what have I got to offer? It's just me with an idea. So along this journey, bro, I was trying to create something that I can utilize as leverage to step into an industry. So I'm saying that, like, jumping forward a bit, I started my restaurants and bars because of my ability to find a problem in COVID, and I created my own delivery service, right? So I created a delivery service that supplied 100 Colombians to all these restaurants to deliver for them for free. And then I paid all the Colombians in food from the restaurants as a currency, because they needed food to buy, or money to buy food. So as long as I had that transparent conversation, that's what I was giving you to deliver for me for 4 hours a day. They got their food, and I created my own ecosystem. So it was the ability to kind of find a problem and create a solution based on someone else's resources. So I started learning how to do that bigger and bigger, right? Now, people were asking me, why the fuck would you do that? Why would you?
That is
like,
my
what
question.
are you even doing? Yeah, but like, you're like, well, how are you making money? But because I'm not from money and I don't give a fuck about it, I'm like, if I can build this in the middle of COVID and it works, I can do anything. And in my head, I promise you this, I wanted to look like Jesus after COVID, because I helped so much people. Like, that's what I wanted. And it's about what you do and recycle that feeling when you help people. So it's about them being like, oh, we build trust, opportunity comes there. And I was going to leverage that to somehow get into entertainment and parties and all that sort of shit. So, but what ended up happening is the leases in the restaurants fucking, you had guys that they were married that were going to get divorced because COVID shut down all these restaurants. And because I started with nothing, I was like, I'll have the lease. So I started acquiring properties, bro, like leases with assets. And then because I found an opportunity, we started building our own restaurants, bro. And then they started working. So we ended up getting rid of the delivery thing. We made a fuckload of friends. And then we had this bar, which is like a Quentin Tarantino-inspired cocktail bar.
Oh, yeah.
And
Nice.
yeah, so and saying that, we ended up shutting it all down last year because I'm not actually passionate about hospitality. I just like people and doing shit. But we created this thing called Home. Now, I'm sure you understand like the way I think and the way I like to go about things now. Home it come into the mix like probably 5 years ago, but it's been in my head for 15 years. Now, there was like it's such a massive industry, right? Like you got, when you think of, what's your name again, bro?
Georgie.
Georgie. So when I say the word supplement to you, what's the first thing that you think in your head?
Probably like a pre-workout, some sort of BCAAs, something like that.
Yeah, like gym, rugby, strong, veins, you know, it's not like
creatine,
that sort of shit.
Yeah.
But what if I told you, if I like the word supplement means to replace a negative or the positive, to replace something. So if I walk outside bare feet, what's the supplement?
A supplement? What'd you say?
Feet?
If you go outside to eat food? Yeah, it's a supplement. Yeah.
Bare feet. If I go outside bare feet, what's the supplement for that?
Probably shoes, I'd say, or socks, something like that.
Exactly. So it's fucking got nothing to do with like gym and all that sort of shit. You know what I mean? So I seen an opportunity to kind of tap into a massive industry where everyone was kind of like fucking competing with what they have in common based on powders and like trying to sell shit to like the 1% of 1%ers that lift weights in gyms.
Got it.
And then I started to think about like, fuck, there's all these dancers and shit. And like that's, would you rather watch someone dance or someone lift weights?
Definitely dance, I'd say. Yeah, definitely dance.
100%. And can you tell me why that is not capitalized when you're talking about such a growing industry, dancers that need shit to kind of dance with, and it's nothing dedicated to their passion to move.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So in a sense,
like
you're rebranding the word supplements for not just the industry of people who lift weights, and that allows you to get into many more industries with a product that was previously pretty much exclusive for people who, worked out, right?
Yeah, I think I think I see what you're saying. So I guess some people might think, well, you're only going to need supplements for lifting weights because it's something that the natural person can't get big enough without supplements. Whereas most people would assume that dancing you can do without any specific type of supplementation, right?
Yeah, but they're probably drinking a coffee before they dance to get energy, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And they probably got a great diet too.
So this product here, which you sent out to me, thank you very much. This is called the Focus. Clean your mind,
Focus,
put down
brother.
the coffee, and move with focus. We got you. I love that.
Sounds great.
Yeah, and read the directions, my man. Read the directions in the back.
All right, let's do this. Suggested use: mix 1 scoop into 400 ml water and enjoy. Do not exceed more. System part. Consume. Focus on those big days when you need to retain knowledge. Brainstorm. Hustle hard. Get your head in the game and improve that KD ratio, or just to upgrade your coffee.
That's perfect for you, my man.
Yeah.
That's really
so you
good.
get the gist of it, right? So I've seen like people might say there's this perception around the supplements, but it's just like because of that perception, you have an advantage to kind of enter a whole new market of people that have never been tapped into, right? So I guess where I'm going was I wanted to re-educate people based on solving a problem of like, it's not about what you take to burn fat or build muscle. It's about what you do, what you're passionate about, whether you're a mother, a librarian, a scaffolder, a dancer. And it's about structure of your day to make the most of your day.
So you're sort of, because I know a little bit about nootropics and stuff like that. And I've experimented with some of them before. So what you're basically trying to do is you're taking, because there's lots of sort of things that exist that can make someone perform better at something. Like if you're trying to take tests, you can take something. If you're trying to concentrate for long periods of time, you can take a different thing. So you're sort of niching down on the supplement market, but you're not just focusing on people who are lifting or super high performance athletes. you're trying to create a product for all these different groups of people to sort of supplement, as you said, their
Definitely,
lifestyle.
bro.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got their own story and it's always true. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So I encourage people to tell their story. Like, for example, you might, like, what are things about you that no one knows, bro? Like, are you a fisherman? Do you like karate? Do you like spinny tops? You know what I
He
mean?
likes
So I want to
he likes flashlights.
I like yo-yos, flashlights, like all sorts of just weird, nerdy stuff like that.
Yeah, but 100%, bro. No one knew about that side of you. You know what I mean? So it's just like, what I want to trigger, bro, is because everybody has their own story and has their own passion or purpose to move. What else do you do? So you are more than what they think you are, and you do more than what they think you do. So if that's the conversation and how I want to trigger people, which is like, fuck, if you're drinking hom, bro, what do you do? You know what I mean?
I see.
So,
I love that.
So then you
Yeah,
chop,
that's good.
then you chop. So if you can create, like, because I've been so good at creating opportunity, I'm like, how do I create opportunity for everyone else? Well, first of all, people have to just be interested in each other. You know what I mean? When's the last time you went to a gas station and the guy standing behind you asked you how your day was, but also what do you like doing, man? What are you passionate about? But if someone asked me that while I was standing at BP and I said I'm passionate about generating leads, bro, I could have fucking made him $1 million, you know what I mean? But unfortunately, no one did, so he didn't get that opportunity. I got to do it for myself now.
Yeah.
Right? So if there's more curiosity, there's more opportunity.
Yes.
Do you think? Sorry, I just want to ask. Do you think the relationship building aspect that was so important to us has been affected with COVID? Now that people, do you think it's better because people are calling each other online more often, or do you think it's maybe made people scared of interacting with others because we got told not to stay away from people for so long?
I think regardless, people are going to be scared, people are going to be curious, people are going to be worried or whatever it may be, but I don't really focus on people. I think about what I have to do to kind of get what I got to get done. For example, I shut down my restaurants here and I come back to New Zealand for 6 months and lived in a van and walked into every store in the country just to introduce myself, just so I can distribute my product. Now, if I was to send an email, no one would have emailed me back.
Of course.
So-
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
Yeah, so emails and messages are okay to follow up, but if you really want to land something, bro, there's nothing like face-to-face conversations because you can actually feel someone's energy. Like this is one thing, bro, but if I was sitting in there, like it'll be a whole nother level. And I'm sure you can feel it from there. But
Might have to get you in the
bro.
flesh someday, then, huh?
Yeah, you have to come in for real next time.
I land on Thursday, bro, so I'll be in the country for 2 weeks.
Nice,
All right.
nice. I've got a question actually for you. So it sounds like the sort of core of the way that you view business is relationship building at the forefront. So it's about getting out there, getting face to face with somebody, authentically trying to express your message, and then getting them to buy in if it suits them, that type of thing, and then having the network to be able to actually action these ideas that you have with them and things like that. So I guess the question is, specifically now, like when people are more used to being at home all the time and just interacting with people online, what's sort of one of your really good ways to get out there, meet people, get in front of people, and be able to share your ideas and figure out what they are trying to get from life as well?
I guess like there's a thing I call fishing, and there's a thing I call spear fishing, right? So fishing is something that you actually wait for, like a flyer or an ad or a billboard. That's fishing because you've got no control over who bites the line and if you actually catch them.
Yeah.
But I try and fish every day while I spearfish. So I'm out there doing things. So I do as much as possible with my day. And there's another saying, I do things while the city's awake and then do admin while the city's asleep. You know what I mean? So you got to make the most of the currents of the people during the day because they're doing things, they're moving. But when they go to sleep, I'll do things while they sleep just so I can make the most of a day. Make sense?
Wow. Yeah. That sounds good.
So that's like how I'm able to be so productive. But I guess nothing has changed based on how I do things because you can't replace. You've got to set yourself up to create the opportunity for people to be more curious about what you do in a real life situation, right?
Right.
So that involves like going as many birthday parties as possible.
Yes.
Going for a walk around the block and making sure you walk a different way and a way where there's more people and saying hello to everyone that looks at you. Like shit like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of a given to me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because it's like we can jump down that rabbit hole of like why, but I'm sure you can understand. But little things like that, bro, are very important because when you look like me, I just grew my hair back, by the way. It's tattooed. Like people have perception with me and with the way I look. But if you understand when someone's kind of curious or trying to avoid you or whatever it may be, it's not a disadvantage. It's a matter of understanding where you are and how you fit into how they think, and also starting the conversation where you think it's best to start.
Yeah.
Because when you're able to have a conversation with someone based on what you say and what you talk about, you're able to lead that conversation into wherever you want it to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense at the moment.
No, it does. It does.
Yeah.
You're basically saying that if you have something specific about you that might be perceived as, something scary like a head tattoo, it's not necessarily that, because it could just make them look, but then it gives you a chance to kind of make a real first impression, and then that's in some ways a strength, because now you got the chance to talk to them, whereas if you're just plain old Joe, you might not have got that chance.
Yeah, there's that, but it's also the psychological side of it, like the fact that they're intimidated and think you're a gang member, for example. At least you know they think that, and you know where to start the conversation. So let's just say you walk into an elevator, you meet Mary's scared, you're tall, 6'6", tattooed head.
Yeah.
But at the end of the lift ride, she's gonna go, "You're such a nice guy, but I'm no nicer than your librarian.
Yeah.
You're just scared at first." You know what I mean? So I become extra nice.
I love the conversations I have when I go out to bars and someone knows of me or something, and we get into a conversation and they have a preconceived idea of who I'm going to be or who I am already.
Yes.
And then they have a conversation with me and we end up being friends at the end of it, when they may have gone into it with a little bit of aggression.
Yeah.
Or saying, I'm going to take the piss out of this guy, or I'm going to press this guy,
Yes.
And then they meet me and we talk, and honestly 90% of the time they end up apologizing. And I don't know why, because they're apologizing for what they thought when they were walking up to me. That isn't actually how they treated me when they met me,
Yeah. I mean, I guess they're apologizing for their own preconceived thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's like, you got to just accept that that's normal, bro. So when you're 10 miles ahead of that, you're going to get that every day, but you learn how to leverage it to your advantage. And I think that's what I was able to learn really, really quickly, because like everybody judges, but you just got to kind of know where you fit in the radar or the Richter scale to, solid.
One of the things we talked about on our shows as well is, this is specifically just in New Zealand, is the this tall poppy syndrome. Like, I just wanted to ask you as well, doing all the things that you've done and hustling, and just every time someone's asking you, you're like, yep, on to the next one, I'm just doing it. We all have had jobs that people wouldn't consider to be normal and been successful in them. Do you think that there is a tall poppy culture here in New Zealand, and have you experienced it at all?
I think I lived in New Zealand when I was 17, but I can't speak on behalf of the people in New Zealand alone. I think there's a tall poppy syndrome, or a tall poppy sort of culture globally.
Oh, yeah.
They're everywhere, because I've been in Australia half my life. I think it's here as well. So I think it's just like, I haven't experienced it in New Zealand, probably because I'm so focused on myself. So I don't really hear any negativity anyway. I think when I come back to New Zealand, I was in such a place mentally where I couldn't understand that sort of noise, where it's just noise to me. So if I would have come back, done all these things maybe 5 years earlier, I might have taken it more on board. I'm honestly, I can't say I've experienced it. You know what I mean?
One thing that I noticed when I was traveling around a little bit was that in other countries, if you tell somebody, hey, I'm doing this YouTube video, or I'm doing this podcast, or I'm starting this business, they're very quick to jump in, try to be supportive, and try to provide any advice, expertise, or even just like refer it to friends, especially in the US and some of the European countries. But I find here in New Zealand, like when you do the same thing, people will mostly have a negative or judgmental outlook on whatever you're doing until they realize that it's something that's successful and other people are already into. Is that something that you've seen?
I think I am very, very blessed to be a part of the community that I come from. So in Rotorua, Whakarewa, I know the people in that town and around me. I think by the sounds of it, it's just like I've had so much support around the people. You know what I mean? So I personally haven't experienced any. I have, but at the same time, the positivity outweighs the negativity because my family's so massive.
Yeah.
My sisters are so supportive, and that's all I can hear, bro.
And
like I can.
I could definitely relate to that too. You know, when I was younger, you know, we were doing events and stuff. I was like 18 at the time when I was trying to do stuff that people didn't perceive as normal. And when I was doing those things, I had so much backlash, and I had it for years. And like as of now, as a 26-year-old and having all this experience and having that, I don't see it that much anymore. A lot more people are willing to be supportive now, and I only have like good supportive people around me that understand the goals that we're trying to achieve. And I think I think you would have experienced it if you were, like you said, you were here a bit earlier. And
I think
maybe it is
'cause
just a
when I
child's
started-
game a little bit.
Yeah, and I think
I'll-
probably
I'll
for
go
him
back-
as well is that he's probably the way that you look at it now is a little bit different, where if you are getting some sort of like negativity from somebody, you just probably would consider them either like a lost cause, or you just don't really think about it. You just focus on the people who are into it, that type of thing. Like, you're not going to try super hard to get somebody on your team who is, you know, at heart a hater, right?
Yeah, I think I was thinking about this saying yesterday. It's just like if people underestimate it, it just means they don't understand. So it's just like, is it my role to educate these people, or is it, you know, or do I feel like educating today? Is it gonna help my cause? If it isn't, I was like, they need to. It's a
Do I feel like educating today?
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
But
Yeah,
it's just like,
Love
that comes from me being so confident in myself. If I wasn't this confident, bro, and I guess it might be a little bit harder, but I can only speak on behalf of myself. And I will say, when I first started doing these things, I probably still get it today. Like, I know people talk shit today, but I couldn't give a fuck. 4 years ago, I was speaking like this back then when I was trying to be a PT, and I had all these ideas. And now I know how crazy I sounded. But yeah, like, there's a lot of people that say I couldn't do it, but now I've built such a reputation about doing shit and making shit happen where it's undeniable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as long as you're just backing yourself, bro, and that comes from a certain level of identity and also confidence to be able to be that gas of excitement, whatever you do, and then surround yourselves with people that actually want the best for you.
yeah,
You're away, brother.
Yeah.
nice.
So one of the other things that I wanted to discuss as well, which is along the lines of maybe giving some advice to some young guns trying to get out there in the business world. Obviously, relationships has been the most important thing for you. For someone maybe starting out and approaching potentially a stranger, how do you think you would? Could you give any tips or how to approach someone?
All right, bro, you'll be cutting out a bit, but I think I got the gist of that. So, I think it's the way I see everything, right? So I think it's just like the way I look at people are like bubbles, all right? So it's simplified like this because you can kind of tap into any bubble. Now, if you're saying, how old are you, bro? 26?
Yeah.
26, and how old are you, my brother?
28.
28. So if I was sitting at a cafe and I seen you guys sitting there, I'll see you as two big balls of bubble. That's 26 years of opportunity, experience, and relationships, and 28 years of the same thing.
Interesting.
Now, it's gonna take, like, for me to come and say hello to you, or make you curious about what I do. It's gonna probably take about, how long does it take to make friends with someone? From 2 minutes, 2 hours to 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Once I'm inside of your bubble, I'm exposed to everything you're a part of, kind of going back to that PT thing. So I figured this out when I was doing personal training, where I kind of just went on walks till midnight, meeting as many people as possible just to be exposed to their bubble.
Huh.
You look at life like that, you go to a mall, bro, it's just a mall of opportunity, popping bubbles all day.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
That's really interesting.
Yeah,
You
and
go
it's
on
just like
walks
when
at
you look it like
midnight?
that-
Who would you be meeting at midnight?
Yeah.
Until midnight, fool.
That's how I was able to kind of do it, man, because I had no money, no opportunities. So I was like, best thing I could do was meet as many people as possible. Now, opportunity was what was relative to who I was talking to. For example, I'm talking to a bunch of Chinese guys in China at the moment that like own Red Bull China, for example. And we could be sitting here on our ass, scraping change or whatever it is, but the opportunity that they present is relative to what they're doing.
Right.
As long as I get that over the line, will change my life. When I look at that when I'm on the street, I'm like, you don't know what anyone does. Everyone's got a problem. If you can provide some sort of solution to their problem, you can utilize that to get into their bubble.
Right.
I,
Right.
That's what I.
And do people? How do you get them to tell you what their problem is? Because unless you kind of ask the right questions, that's not going to come out, right?
Well, you got to be authentic and genuine. So it comes in the process of relationships. So I created this concept in my head: when you meet one person, 12 people, or meet a team of people, it's just like first you gotta, like when I walk into a shop.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you? It's about making them comfortable.
Yes.
Once they're comfortable, they trust you. Yeah. Once they trust you, they allow you to kind of negotiate something. So you got to understand where you are in that process. So when you go out to the club, someone's drunk, you got to see what's relative to the moment, and then you see how fast you can. Like you got to with no intention, you just get to know someone whether you just like each other.
I find that
you can, you know what I mean?
You can often dive deep with someone within only a couple of minutes of knowing them. I mean, definitely you've experienced this when we were in the nightlife. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
People will tell you their problems if you give them an opportunity to.
Really quickly, yeah.
But it comes from and that's what I mean. So all I knew I had to do was just make friends, because the opportunity is always there. If you go into it with intention, then you might be let down because it's not meant to be. But if you go in with the intention of actually wanting to hear people's story, it's like an authentic way of making friends anyway. If you come across as a good cunt, you come across as like a genuine dude because you want to meet people. But the benefit is you get exposed to people's problems anyway, and you just kind of figure out where you can help.
Yeah.
Or if your toilet's blocked, I'm a plumber. So it depends how far you want to go to it, but thinking ahead. So going back to the home thing, I'm like, how the hell do I get into shit? How do I get into festivals? So the new Tropics launched. I'm going to launch a range of teas, coffees, to be my vehicle to get into Woolworths and all that sort of stuff, and then I launched my energy drink RTD can in about 4 months.
Right.
And then I utilized that to use
I saw that.
So it's just like being able to go into situations with purpose and provide something as value, then utilize that to kind of be involved rather than just having ideas. So through that whole journey and what we just spoke about, kind of, that's my advice.
I've got a quick question. I want to be aware of the time. I think we've gone over a little bit, but if you're happy to take a couple more questions, we've got a few more.
We'll make them quick fire.
Yeah, we'll do some quick fire questions. So, you've got a bunch of things on the go. We're talking teas, we're talking energy drinks, we're talking supplements, festivals. How do you get yourself down to focus for the right amount of time to actually follow these things through to the point that they succeed?
When I say me, I mean we. You know what I mean? So it's never just me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Just play my part.
Yes.
I just play my part. I got a lot of people around me that I've met over the last 15 years where I utilize their resources and time and their expertise.
Yeah.
People go, how did you make the formula? I just said, I met a scientist.
Yeah. Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it all basically comes down to relationships.
Yeah, it's network.
Have good relationships with the people that you work with.
Yeah.
What do you think about burning bridges?
So I've kind of probably burnt a couple of bridges from mistakes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think try and maintain those bridges as best you can.
Do you think the burnt bridges affected your confidence in any way?
Nah, because not at all.
Yeah.
As long as you learn from it, and I wrote it on Instagram the other day. So I was like, any loss or failure, anything that fucked up in the past from something I'd done, I will never try it again. I'll take what I learned and apply it to something fuckloads bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Because why would I do it again? That's kind of staying in the same place. But it's just like now I've learned that much shit, and I'm able to kind of do all of this because of what I've learned and what I've done. Yeah. But why would you apply it to the same thing that you try to do?
Yeah.
You took lesson, and let's fucking try and do it just 10 times bigger.
Go big or go home.
Yeah, and you're only gonna learn, bro. So I think but build the bus while we drive.
With regards to maintaining these big networks of people that you've got, because obviously tons of people who are involved in lots and lots of different industries and stuff. Is there anything that you regularly do to kind of keep the relationship going, like sending birthday messages, cards, holding like big group dinners or anything like that regularly?
Fuck. I think it's just like it's the way you make people feel, bro. When the last time you've seen them,
Right.
like that's the souvenir right there, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like then it comes down to just being authentic, and it's just like leaving them when I for example, when I leave the bank, I want to say a joke just to make her laugh, and she's got to remember me.
Yeah.
Like something like that.
Yes.
It's like creating a reaction. So, I'm learning that. Like I've actually kind of tightened up my circle because I used to treat everyone like family, but like I'm like, how do I be this person, but also be the same person that I built out to be so welcoming and so. So all I can do is do what I do. All I do is when I think of people, I call them up and see what they're up to. But at the same time, I just, fuck, you're funny cunt now and then, and let's be genuine.
Be real, be a funny cunt.
No, that's actually really good advice, man.
No, it is.
It's like I think a lot of people kind of are doing too much when you think about it from that. Like the first thing someone thinks about when you say networking, they start thinking about sending Christmas cards and like building these relationships in this superficial way. But you're coming at it from a different angle where it's you have to be, well, the best way to do it is actually just to be an authentic person that they can connect with on a real level that they can't with most others, and that's enough to make an impression.
As well as just keeping it positive. I mean, if you're
100%.
positively affected by someone, then that's a good thing.
I really can't think about I can't talk about how authentic I am because I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? Like you got to probably ask one of my friends on what kind of friend I am. I can just tell you what I do. I can tell you now, I've never sent out a Christmas card. I've never sent out a birthday card.
Yeah. I did have a pretty good recommendation saying that you were the guy I should talk to.
Yeah, but however that happened, it was probably just because I probably, done a haka at a birthday and farted in a nightclub and made everyone laugh, you know what I mean? But I guess, there's the traditional way of networking, but also my version of networking is that's like how you make people feel, really. Yeah. And what sort of value proposition do you offer these people's lives, and also vice versa. And you think about that to the T, and you go, what is my point of difference? And from the get-go, so kind of bringing everything together, reputation that I wanted to create in people's heads about me, is I want people to know that I know more people than a billboard, or can access more people than a billboard. So how do you create that reputation? Well, you got to start meeting people. And then people know you as that reputation. Then when they need something, they probably call you. And then the rest is history. You know what I mean? So
right, yeah. Everyone's got a friend who when they're looking for something, they'll say, "Oh, we'll ask this guy because he knows a bunch of people." So would you say that you're that guy amongst your friends?
Yeah, I think I'm the guy amongst people that don't even know me.
You're the fucking guy.
You're the connector.
Yeah. But it's exactly. So it's and then when you can create that reputation, what do you do with it? First of all, how do you create that reputation? Yeah. You're not going to do it by going to the library every day and to the pub. Yeah. You might have to go to a pub every day for a year just to meet everyone that goes to pubs for a year. But then
I think I could do it.
I
could do
it. Yeah. But you see where I'm at. But I think it's just like that extreme sort of action creates extreme measures and extreme results fast.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on today. It's been awesome. We've gone over a little bit, but I think we're probably gonna have you on the show again sometime, hopefully in person.
Yeah, man.
Sweet,
I've learned heaps from that.
Yeah, straight up.
That's really awesome.
I feel like I'm in a lecture.
Yeah. Before you go, man, I don't know how much time you've got, but is there anything that you wanted to talk about, on this, while we're filming and stuff?
Yeah, probably. Fest doing, I can't say who's coming, but what we're doing is we're launching 8 festivals across Australia and New Zealand, And what we want to do with that is, like, I think it's very predictable the way that people launch festivals, where they kind of sell out a lineup, right?
Yeah.
So what it is a 90s, 2000s R&B festival where I want to create a brand around the feeling we had when Pretty Ricky dropped on the hotline. You know what I mean? So you can see Pretty Ricky on poster. Have a think about how you feel, or you can close your eyes and listen to On the Hotline by Pretty Ricky. And you're going to get a totally different feeling. You're going to remember when you first heard that song for the first time, who you were with, who you were dating, but also the bills you didn't have, just everything around that era, right?
Yeah.
So I want to celebrate that by bringing people together and creating a byproduct, which is these festivals, and which is what we're actually doing.
Right.
All right, so
I see.
8 festivals, 5 in New Zealand, 2 in Australia, and look out for the NFT launch as well.
All right.
Awesome, man. Yeah, we'll definitely look out for that. I wanna find out more. So that's gonna be epic. We'll definitely get tickets for when it comes out. Yeah, man. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, bro.
Brothers. Peace.
Thanks,
Peace,
bro.
man.
All the best.
Wow. Wasn't that sick?
That was amazing.
Yeah.
What an interesting guy, bro. What an interesting guy.
It was actually awesome having her on. I've wanted to for a while, and I thought episode 5's a great place to start. So
Yeah.
I mean, some of the topics we talked about there, I've talked about some of those topics to a lot of people, and that was definitely not what I expected.
Yeah, no, it wasn't what I expected either. I mean, like, he has just such a positive outlook on everything, right?
I know.
He's just you can't even bog this guy down. He looks at the world as if it's full of opportunity. He looks at everyone that he sees as somebody who's a potential friend, a potential associate or business partner, and I guess that is probably what's led him to success, right?
Yeah, I mean, he does say, it started from humble beginnings.
Yeah.
And as soon as he realized that he could like leverage one thing for the other, or provide someone with a service.
Yeah.
And they also want to provide a service to him. That you can utilize that, and it's made him very successful in business.
Yeah.
And obviously in his relationships as well, which
and
it's just really cool.
He was one of the things that he's big on, and this is something that you and I have talked about before, is the network side of things, right? So he even told us, he said, I didn't like have a fancy education and stuff, like I didn't come from money, I didn't have like a bunch of connections, but he said when I was a personal trainer, I found that because I was spending, an hour with people, I would get to find out all the stuff about them, and everyone has someone that you could meet who could possibly help you do whatever it is you're doing. And so he just expanded on that learning, and he said, I'm just going to try to meet as many people as I can and be the person that connects everyone so that anytime someone needs something, I'm there. But then when I need something, people are there for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's opened my mind a little bit as well about that. Because I remember, obviously, when I was 18, 19, when I started my event out in Howick.
Yeah.
And I was throwing events there. It's exactly what I did. And I just don't, I thought it was like something you do and then like you move on to a different way of networking. Even now working in real estate, it's like I go about things way differently than I used to, but I was way more successful back then in the sense that when I'm saying I was successful, I meant the amount of people I was successful with.
Right.
Like the percentage rate of when I was going out there as a young, like, very keen, hustling 18-year-old, like, obviously at that point you're not thinking about anything else in life other than I need to make this one event a success.
Yes.
And I'd go to the bar and, I'd walk straight in there, walk up to the DJ, being like, hey, bro, can I just watch you DJ? And he's like, oh, I need to take a piss. And he goes to the bathroom and he goes, why don't you just play? Because I told him I was a DJ. He's like, why don't you just play and then I'll come back in a minute. I need to take a piss anyway, so I have a jam. So I have a jam, and it's my first gig. It's my 18th birthday, and then I'm walking into this bar, and the guy goes, coming back from his piss, I'm freaking out. I've like mixed like 2 or 3 songs.
Yeah.
And he goes to the bar and sits down and grabs a beer. And I'm just standing there like,
bruh,
covering for this dude. I'm like stoked. I'm like, I've been training for this for 2 years. Cause I was like at birthday parties and all that. So finally get into a bar. And he sits there and has a beer. I'm like, all right, let's go. And he comes back and he says to me, bro, yeah, you're a lot better than like I thought you were going to be. You're actually doing a great job here. Do you want to come DJ here next Thursday?
Oh, there you go.
And that was the mentality I was in. And the way we met as well. I just went to town and was like by myself. Went to the Roxy. I'd be like, hey, man.
Yes.
Josh, I'm a DJ. I want to throw events. What's up? And then just like went round and talked to many people until I like met Ben and Victor and Gerard.
It's really interesting, like for how much bad things there is about the nightlife industry and how much, how terribly people's lives can go if they stay in it for a long time. You have to admit that it is one of the best ways, if not the best way, to grow your network. Because
no, it is.
People like think about how many people you kind of knew and had very quick access to back then, and probably still have from back then, because you were just out there. You were talking to people all the time. You were kind of in a socializing environment, in a happy mood and stuff like that, and you were just sort of there to have a good time. And you got to exchange numbers and sort of hear people's life stories so much more often than we do now.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought at the time that was the most important thing, and I think that's why I stayed in nightlife for so long. It's because I constantly had access to people, and I think I took it a bit too personally when those people aren't necessarily like good friends or anything like that. You got to remember, it's like got to work at these relationships.
Yeah.
And that's something that he definitely does as well.
Yes.
I had the opportunity to meet so many people, but did I, there's a lot of them I could have put some effort in with or retained those relationships for the sake of future business even. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I have a bit of a different perspective on it now.
Well, yeah, it's true. I mean, maybe you could have put in a bit more effort, so to speak. But we asked him that question, right? We asked him, like, is there any specific thing that you do to kind of keep those relationships alive? And all he said was, no, it's just about how you make people feel.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's I think it's weird working in nightlife for that long. I'm going to be honest. I just started getting pissed with people. So my relationships with people, like why I left nightlife, is because I'd had so many of like similar conversations with people.
Yeah.
That I was starting to just get short with people or disinterested.
Yes.
Instead of trying to find the value in every new person that you meet.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
true.
For me, obviously, it's a different situation where I was working 4 or 5 nights a week, being surrounded by people like. I definitely had my social battery run out.
Becomes a job like anything else at some point.
So the point, what I'm trying to say is that the effort wasn't, with the people. It's more like my perspective on it changed, and I saw nightlife as like actually a waste of time.
Right.
But now talking to him again, I'm like, actually, I don't think it is a waste of time at all.
No.
One of the things he says, he's like, maybe you just have to go to a pub every day for a year, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
and we were both like, oh yeah.
I'm like, man, we did that. We have
for
done
multiple
that.
years.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, the point is more that I looked at my experience negatively rather than the opportunity that exists there. And with a different perspective, I think I could definitely, use that as an advantage to network or just even discuss fresh ideas with people. Because I think my conversation changed there. Well, I know this is the last thing I want to talk about, like no work.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that stuff. Like it was like, oh, why would I do that?
Yeah,
it's the best time.
I totally get you. Because like, if you think about the other networking opportunities that exist, like these sort of industry meetups and stuff like that, I don't know if you've seen or heard. I'm sure real estate has got a lot of these types of things where you kind of, it's like specifically branded a networking event.
Yeah.
And you show up and there's like a bunch of people that are all in the same industry. And really the point of it is not to like, eat the salami and the cream-filled peppers, is to go there, shake hands with some people and, get some new, I guess, business associates and all of that sort of stuff. I've been to a few of these, like, because I was in marketing and I'm in IT now. I actually got my last job from going to one of these events, right? I just shook hands with like 10 people there, and I like interviewed with 3 or 4 of the companies of the people that I'd met.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so, like, actually, if you think about it, pretty much all the best opportunities that we've had in our lives have come from going to these types of events, right?
Yeah, I feel like I've had a realization moment.
Yeah.
After talking to him, which is quite cool. he's shown me a different appreciation for networking in that sense.
For sure. And I think that like,
Even though we both do it all the time,
Yeah.
I don't think about it.
no.
I network and I talk to people and it happens, but it makes me excited to have more conversation.
Yeah.
And it's
And we're approaching it in a different way now, because back then, you know, when we were in the sort of nightlife type of thing, we were a little bit immature in the way that we sort of saw what we were doing. We weren't very self-aware about what we were doing. Maybe
not a clue.
Yeah, we didn't really know.
I knew the significance of it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it meant.
Yes.
Or I mean, I did take it very seriously.
Yeah.
I did.
Of course.
But I took it seriously for the first 3 years. And then after that, I was just like, I started concentrating on things that weren't the biggest positives from. You're right.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
No, not quite.
Oh, okay.
I mean, when you're in this environment where there's a lot of partying around, you focus. You think of it more as partying than the networking opportunities or the opportunity to grow your business, which is all I thought about when I started.
Yeah.
You know, every event we did, it's
Yes.
an opportunity to meet with a new sponsor or, you know, just meet with more people, network with more people, invite them to your events, be hospitable, obviously.
Yeah.
And then moving into festivals or touring, which I got into as well.
Yeah.
Those are all just opportunities that just kept on rolling through. I think
Totally, man. And if we were to go back out there, back like into bars and into parties and stuff like that, we would have a completely different outlook on it, because
Completely, yeah.
we're more mature now. We actually know what we're trying to achieve, and then we would be able to kind of get that across to somebody much easier than the confused message we had back then, which was like, you know, do you like this party? Like, do you want to drink? Like, what's your name? Are you single? Blah, 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 like all these other questions that we would be asking, right? But nowadays it's different, right?
Yeah.
For me,
Is
maybe.
No, I don't. I still had those conversations then, and I think for me it was more like I fell off in that sense of caring, where I used to just like anytime. One of the things he said to me that was like that really clicked for me is like the bursting of once you get into a bubble,
Yeah.
into someone's bubble,
Yes.
you now have access to what they're all about. And it's like, I think about some of the businesses I've even started or anything that I've done. It's been based off having a conversation with someone, getting some information on what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're doing this and they can tell me a little bit about it. And that might be the thing
Yes.
that I end up doing my entire life.
Yeah.
And it would have never happened if I didn't get an insight from that guy. So the more bubbles you like break and the more you learn about all these things that people are doing.
Yes.
And you're not talking to, I think we probably experienced this a lot. I would talk to the same guy a lot. When I was in nightlife, and the reason I wanted to get out was every night I had to entertain a guy that had the same thing to say to me.
Right.
And I think I should have probably dived a little bit deeper into some of the things they were saying instead of just thinking it's the same thing, and breaking that bubble of being like, oh, you're into this and you're into this thing, and oh, this is the business that you do, and how did you get into that? And you start to learn about all the different industries and things people are actually in.
Yeah, I guess it's just asking questions and being genuinely interested, right? And that's something that a lot of people can't do because they can't take the focus off themselves. Most people are like really just trying to look cool in a nightlife environment and trying to be liked and trying to be like to come out like the alpha or whatever.
I was honestly just trying to be left alone.
Yeah, that's why I left as well.
That's why I got disinterested.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I remember I was telling this to people. I was like, no, I hate people now. I don't like going out.
That's why I left. I said, I literally hate people. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I want to remove myself from this job because I simply can't be the person that should be entertaining people.
Yes.
And yeah, that's like the main reason.
But now it's all changed after that conversation.
It's a different perspective. I ain't going back to nightlife, dog.
Yeah. Maybe just as a patron.
Yeah. I mean, even that. I've gone to town once since I've been back.
I see.
I go up to Ponsonby, maybe have a couple of beers with some people, and then that's about as exciting as it.
Yeah.
But
I think for us and for our viewers, it should be something that we focus on this year. Is like go out, talk to some more people. Don't just sit in the group of people that you came
Facts,
with.
man.
Go chat to some people, because even if you don't learn something, you at least get better at like building a connection with somebody in a short amount of time. So for the time, when the time comes for actually, you know, somebody who could help you and you could help them, you're more experienced at doing it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, honestly, I think that's definitely something that I need to refocus on. I think I just had a bad perspective on it, and sometimes it just takes someone being like, "Hey, man."
Well, we got social burnout, bro.
Yeah,
That's
we do,
what it
bro.
is.
It
Social
is
burnout.
Like, I deserve to feel this way.
Yeah, no, you're entitled.
I was burnt out. I wanted to retire. But yeah, it sheds lights on all the important things of doing that stuff. So
we've taken the time. We've healed a little bit.
We've healed. I've healed.
Yeah.
I feel good.
It's time to get back out there,
Feel
brother.
healthy, ready to go. I'm ready to talk shit again.
Yep.
You know? Yeah.
It'll come back. It'll all just flow back once you're back in there.
Yeah. Exactly. It's good to know that door-to-door sales is not just something you do in real estate. So.
Well, I mean, I think what he was trying to get at is that it's like so much more powerful now because people don't really see each other in person anymore.
It's actually huge because it's something you definitely have to do in sales. And if you're selling yourself, you're in sales. You know, if you're selling a business or a product, or you're selling, and you've got to sell yourself as well. And the only way you can do that is getting in someone's face.
Yeah, for sure.
No one cares about the email.
Have you noticed this? Have you noticed that, like, for all the companies that I've worked for and stuff like that, I've generally had access to the top guys, like at the company, just because they've just been that type of company, right, where you can go and talk to the boss. I'd say every one of them, with no exception, had a background in sales.
Really?
Yeah, every single one.
Yeah.
Yeah. They all started as salespeople, and most of their career was sales, and then now they're the CEO of a company.
That's honestly, speaking to a lot of real estate agents as well, I struggle to understand why they're so like positive about their job, and like in the sense that, I mean, like, they're overly positive and keen to chat to people. And I'm like, is that your personality or the personality that you need to have to be able to kind of do this job?
I'd say the second one.
But some of them aren't. Behind closed doors, maybe they're not that person.
Right.
Like, you have to, there's a certain type of person you need to be constantly like selling yourself to people.
I think over time, maybe like your brain just rewires and you really do become that person.
It's a mindset you got to be in. That's just this is just me personally reflecting from having experience it,
No, I've had those same thoughts too, man. You meet those super highly energetic people that are always asking you questions, always making jokes, like laughing and stuff, and you're thinking like, there's no way you're like this 100% of the time. But I guess when you're conditioned to be that person for 8 hours of the day on every phone call, maybe it starts out a bit tough, but then like after 3-4 years of doing it, bleeds into your personal life, and you're just that guy now.
You're just that guy now. See, this is my biggest worry. I don't want to be the guy, Georgie. I don't want to.
I don't know. They make a lot of money, you know what I'm saying?
It's fair.
I don't really want
I call 100 people every fucking day.
Oh.
Every fucking day.
It's like, have you seen that guy
That's every real estate coach. I call. Have you called 100 people today? That's why you're a fucking failure.
Whoa.
No, they're not that aggressive, but you know what I mean.
That reminds me of this Gary Vee impersonator
that
exists.
That is Gary Vee.
Yeah.
It literally is. Did you call a fucking 100 people today?
Yeah. He's like, oh no, I can't do it any justice. There is this guy who impersonates Gary Vee. Maybe we'll look at it in the second part of this episode.
Yeah.
But this guy's great.
Yeah, king. All right, we're gonna hop into the extra, into part 2 now. Exclusively available on Patreon. Please subscribe.
It's Patreon /PERRE.
That's right. Patreon.com/Parry.
Support the boys. Leave any comments, concerns, questions in the comments, and we'll see you in part 2.
That's right. Peace out.
Boom.